acting upon it to obtain and maintain their own economic liberation. You should have phoned them by now and told them that they need to tune in. Because family members, what I'm going to give you now, just like always, I will never ever give you any information without the empirical data behind it so you can go back and confirm it yourself. Like Bush 1 used to say, trust but verify, and I agree with that. So if anybody gives you any information, or if you read anything that doesn't have a bibliography with it, where you can go back and check and verify that what you're reading or that what you're hearing, then you need to discount what you are taking in as information until you verify, until you authenticate it. Now listen to me very, very closely. Entitlements are indeed on the chopping block. And I'm going to list 2 government entitlements that are very, very important to the middle and lower class of the United States society. Now that the Senate has passed the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, which goes under the acronym the TCJA, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, it's not a matter of if anymore, but when entitlements will indeed be cut. You see, this TCJA, the Tax Cuts and Jobs Act, it alone will add $1.5 trillion to the federal deficit over the next decade. Now, to make up for that deficit, a few legislators are already signaling their intent to squeeze Social Security, which is Social Insecurity, and Medicare. For instance, listen to me, I'm going to name names like I always do. We don't pull any punches here at the Ask the Wiz Wealth Institute. For instance, U.S. Representative Kevin Brady, the Republican out of Texas, he's the chair of the Ways and Means Committee. And he said on November the 6th that the TCJA, quote, alone won't get us back to a balanced budget, end quote. He went on to add that House Republicans would soon start tackling, quote, the entitlements, end quote. Listen to me. U.S. Senator Marco Rubio, Republican out of Florida, chimed in on the matter on November the 30th. When 2 reporters posed questions from the public to him about how Republicans intended to address the federal deficit increase, and Rubio replied, and I quote, "We have to do 2 things. We have to generate economic growth, which generates revenue, while reducing spending. That will mean instituting structural changes to Social Security and Medicare for the future," end quote. Structural changes, quote, end quote, to Social Security and Medicare, end quote, is just a prettier way, family members, to say cuts are definitely on the way. But no matter what Congress ultimately decides to do with entitlement programs, i.e., your financial future being tied to some of those perhaps, you don't have to worry. For if you pay close attention to what I'm about to tell you, you can get P.A.I.D. implementing powerful strategies and techniques, no matter what the Republicans, no matter what His Royal Highness Donald Trump does, or no matter what happens in this U.S. economic situation, the economic climate. You see, you've got to get paid no matter whether or not the Democrats, the Republicans, the Independents, no matter who's in power. Bull Bear. You don't have to care when you implement certain strategies and techniques. The uber wealthy get paid in spite of what is happening, both domestically and internationally. And in most instances, because they put those things into effect. Now listen to me closely. 'Tis the season when pundits begin to make their predictions for what the stock market will do in 2018. Predictions are a tough business, yet we continue to pursue them, whether it's the weather, a sporting event, the economy, and of course, how the stock market will perform next year. Now, some forecasters say the markets will continue to rally another 20% in 2018, while others predict the return of volatility along with below average returns over the next couple of years. Both sides will, of course, cite statistics to support their theories. Now, one of the more popular ones you might hear is how markets tend to deliver below average returns after a year when they delivered better than average returns. Okay, the S&P 500 is up 17.7% so far this year, which is much better than its historical 7.6% average. As I speak to you, the Dow is now up 55 points, the S&P is up 0.22%, and the NASDAQ is up 0.45% for today. Now, in 1980, for instance, the market rose by nearly a third, 32.5%, and in 1981, it fell about 5%. In 1989, stocks soared 32%, only to fall 3.1% the following year. Now, beloved, nobody knows what the future holds. After all, just as there are examples of times when the market delivers below average returns after a good year, there are examples of times when the market has enjoyed extraordinary gains for several years in a row. For instance, in 1954, the market soared 52%. The next year, the market rallied 33%. Then, there were the roaring 1990s, when the market delivered a string of 5 years of better than average returns. Let me give you those years. Like I said, I've done the research. I'm going to give you the years. 1995, S&P 500 total return, 37.6%. 1996, S&P 500 total return, 22.9%. 1997, S&P 500 total return, 33.4%. 1998, S&P 500 total return, 28.6%. And 1999, S&P 500 total return, 21.0%. Now, there are other examples from the 1930s, 1940s, and 1970s that demonstrate that a large gain in one year does not eliminate the possibility of big gains in the following year. But you see, the point is, don't let these predictions, one way or another, influence your investing and trading decisions. These forecasts are aimed at your emotions. And I've repeatedly said that emotions can be a portfolio killer. So rather than focusing on data based on a small sample size or analyst predictions, it's better to put your money on time-tested tools that have worked under all market conditions. Bull bear, you don't have to care. So now I'm going to give you some analytics that you need to look at no matter what the position is and no matter what the economy is doing and no matter what markets you're trading in. You do what I'm about to describe to you. You implement these analytics on any position that you're thinking about getting, that you're thinking about buying open, that you're thinking about actualizing, that you're thinking about inserting into your portfolio. You do these analytics. Use these three little tools I'm about to give you, and you will get P.A.I.D. The first is called relative strength. Write that down, relative strength. Oftentimes you'll see economists utilize the acronym R.S, relative strength, acronym R.S. Now listen to me closely. I'm going to give you the Reader Digest elementary definition and the associated application of these indicators that will get you paid. It's simple. Now, relative strength works to find market winners, but it can't be used to forecast the direction of the market. You see, I believe it's more important to follow the market trend than to develop forecasts that are just as likely to be wrong as right. That's why we stay out in front of the market here at the ASK THE WIZ Wealth Institute. For now, the direction of the momentum in prices in the market is up. And like Newton's, talking about Isaac Newton's, first law of motion, which says an object in motion stays in motion until an external force acts on the object to change the motion. Therefore, the momentum in the market will continue until something causes a change in the market. Think back to the housing crisis in 2008 as the most recent example. Stock market momentum can be derived from various external factors such as earnings, global economic conditions, interest rates, and more recently, the anticipated tax cuts proposed by the White House. Now, right now, earnings are projected to continue rising. The global economy is indeed expanding. Unemployment is low. And despite the recent increases by the Federal Reserve, talking about the interest rates are still relatively low. All these factors are bullish for stocks. Now, a negative external force, like the sudden credit crisis that began largely without warning in 2008, will eventually work against the momentum in stock prices. But until that force develops, we should stay out in front of the market, let the market come to us, and apply the appropriate ASK THE WIZ Wealth Institute strategies that allow us to get P.A.I.D. from the bullish sentiment of the current market. It's not necessarily saying we're bullish on the market. It's saying that we are monetizing the bullish sentiment of the market. Two different things. Because bull, bear, we don't care. Now, this type of analysis won't help us set a target price, but it should help us maximize our profits as we get P.A.I.D. And that is more desirable than trying to sit around and predict what the market is going to do next. We don't care what the market does next because we know how to monetize it no matter which way it moves, utilizing our ASK THE WIZ Wealth Institute strategies. Now, a little bit later on in today's ASK THE WIZ Wealth Institute Classroom Walls Radio broadcast, I'm going to give you 2 more additional ways and means to get P.A.I.D. from the market conditions, and I'm going to do it by showing you how to monetize real estate investment trust. In fact, it's going to be 3 additional steps. But at this point in time, what you need to do, what you need to focus on, is leaving emotions out of your particular decisions. Complete our ASK THE WIZ Wealth Institute drill down and understand and understand that we don't care whether or not a position is going up or a position is going down. If we look at the relative strength of that particular position, insert the RS inside of the rest of our drill down procedures, and we complete them all, you cannot miss on a particular position because the market's movement, which drives the position, and that market movement is manipulated by the market insiders and the speculators. Those things, as we monetize and play the player who is manipulating the play, those things will allow us to continue to get P.A.I.D. as it is the will